from where I am starting from there. You might have remembered that the reaction, whenever we do the reaction with solid catalyst, the solid catalyst has definite active centers or active points or active sites where actually the chemical reaction happens. And on those active sites at the beginning, the reactant molecules get adsorbed on those points, and their molecular structure gets distorted because of this adsorption, because it is energy related phenomenon. And then the molecules after the reaction, they produce product and get dissolved from the active sites of the solid catalyst. The active centers on the surface are originated from surface irregularities, dislocations, edges of crystals, cracks along grain boundaries, etc. These are the reasons for generation of the active centers in solid catalyst surface. And I have already said, if you can remember, that the more the surface area of a catalyst, usually more active is that catalyst, because more surface area means more number of active centers, and hence the reaction will go faster, and also more amount of product will be formed. And hence we can say the solid catalyst is more active. And if the catalyst is porous, then most of the this surface area resides in the pore surface, and a little fraction on the outer surface. So usually the most of the reactions happen inside the pores, and inside the pores active centers are there on which first chemical adsorption happens, and after that reaction takes place. Now we were talking about the gas solid reaction. That means the gases are the reactants. Say A and B are the two reactants, both are in the gaseous phase, or like a vapor phase, high temperature reaction, and solid phase is the solid catalyst phase. And reaction happens on the solid gas interface. That means in the on the solid surface, and the reactants come through the boundary layer, concentration boundary layer, from the bulk to the surface of the catalyst. So these are the steps which I am telling you. These are the steps involved in the overall process by which a fluid phase, here I have generalized. I haven't said the gas phase. It is we are saying it as a fluid phase, because sometimes liquid phase reaction is also there with the solid catalyst. With solid porous catalyst happens. First one is mass transfer or diffusion of the reactants from the bulk fluid to the external surface of the catalyst pellet. Just try to visualize the picture that we are having a sphere, so solid sphere, that is one catalyst particle or catalyst pellet, and gaseous or liquid reactants are flowing through it. So in that case, there is a bulk phase, there is a boundary layer, concentration boundary layer, and the solid surface. So first step will be the reactant molecules are diffusing from the bulk phase through the boundary layer to the surface of the solid catalyst. So this is the first step, mass transfer of the reactants from the bulk fluid to the external surface of the catalyst pellet. Then let us consider the solid catalyst is porous. So most of the surface area resides in the pore surface. So we can obviously assume that the reactant molecules, some little percentage of reactant molecules will get adsorbed on the surface, outer surface of the solid catalyst, but most of them try to go inside the pores to get adsorbed on the porous surface, pore surface, where more number of active centers are there. So first step is the mass transfer from the bulk to the external surface of the catalyst. Next step will be the again another diffusion of the reactants from the external surface to the internal pore surface through the catalyst pores. Okay, so here another mass transfer. First one is called external diffusion. External diffusion because molecules of reactant molecules are coming from bulk to the catalyst surface. This is external mass transfer. And after reaching in the catalyst surface, it tries to go inside the pore. This is second step of the mass transfer or diffusion, and as it is going into the internal surface, so this is called internal mass transfer or pore diffusion, whatever. Here you see pore diffusion is that there is a huge concentration difference at the beginning, because there is almost no reactant molecule inside the pores. So obviously the concentration gradient is large. So there is a mass transfer resistance also. Anyway, that I'll come afterwards. So reactant molecules are coming from the external surface of the catalyst to the internal surface or pore surface of the catalyst by pore diffusion method. And then after reaching in the internal surface, what happens? The adsorption of the reactant molecule on the internal surface. After it reaches, the reactant molecule reaches in the internal surface, it will get adsorbed on the catalyst active sites within the internal surface. After that stage, this is the reaction on the surface to form product. Because after adsorption, the reactant molecule will go to a high energetic state. That means at a transition state, get higher energy, that which is called activation energy, and then reaction happens to form the product. After the product is formed, product is also adsorbed on the active center. So to get the product out, desorption of the product from the surface. This is another step, next step after the reaction. Now, when the product is free after desorption, it has to come to the external surface of the catalyst. So it has to diffuse from the internal surface up to the pore mouth, that is the external surface. This is another mass transfer. Diffusion of the product from internal surface to pore mouth or external surface of the catalyst. And last stage is mass transfer of the product from external surface to the bulk of the fluid. Product has to go out from the catalyst surface. So this is the last mass transfer stage, where from the external surface of the catalyst, the reactant molecule goes to the bulk of the fluid. These are the important 7 steps involved in the overall process of fluid solid catalytic reaction. Now, overall rate of the reaction is equal to the rate of the slowest step of the reaction. You know, the slowest step is called the rate determining step or rate limiting step. In these, look, there are 7 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 steps. In that, they are going in series, one after another, one after another. So if one step is slow, then what happens? The whole process will be dependent on that step only. Until that step is not cleared, the whole process is not going faster. So that slowest step is the rate determining step. Uh, the rate of that slowest step determines the rate of the overall process. So that is called the rate determining step or slowest step or rate limiting step. So overall rate of the reaction is equal to the rate of the slowest step of the reaction. When diffusion or mass transfer steps are very fast compared to the reaction step, then what will happen? Reaction is the slower, reaction step is slower than the mass transfer steps. Then reaction is limiting the reaction rate of the whole process. Rate means what? Per time, how much progress is done. If the reaction step is slow, then per second or per time, it determines the progress of the whole process. Then this will be the concentration of reactant and or product in the immediate vicinity of the active centers are almost the same as in the bulk phase. Then look, just concentrate on this. When diffusion or mass transfer steps are very fast, these steps among all these steps, the mass transfer steps are very fast. Then what will happen? As mass transfer step is fast, then we can consider that the concentration in the bulk phase is almost equal to the concentration on the catalyst surface. Concentration of the reactant in the bulk phase is almost equal to the concentration of the reactant on the catalyst surface, because mass transfer is very fast. So what will happen? More amount of a large amount of reactant molecules are found on the surface of the catalyst. Surface means external or internal, whatever. But as reaction is slow, then although we have a large amount of reactant in the catalyst surface, the product formation is slower because reaction rate is slower. So you see, among all these steps, as reaction is slow, so and product formation is lesser, then this step is determining the rate of the whole process. Then we can say that rate determining step, among all these steps, rate determining step is the reaction step. So what it is saying, when diffusion or mass transfer steps are very fast compared to the reaction step, the concentration of reactant or product in the immediate vicinity of the active centers are almost the same as in the bulk phase, what I said already. So then diffusion or mass transfer steps cannot affect reaction rate because they are fast. Chemical reaction step will be the rate limiting step. Say you students are you are having a group. You have, say, 5 students in a group, and you have to work. You have to perform a work where number 1 student will do one work, and after he finishes, numbers 2 student, like a relay race. In a relay race, if one runner is slower, then they will defeat in the match, in the run. So if everyone is fast, then only it is possible. But obviously the whole run process is determined by the run of every single runner. Here also this is the same. As reaction is slower, although the other steps are very fast, but this reaction controls the overall rate of the process. When the rate of chemical reaction is much faster than either adsorption or desorption or diffusion steps, then the rate limiting step may be the slowest step among them. Like say, in these, say diffusion of the reactant from external surface to the internal pore surface is very slow. If that is there, then this step will control the whole rate. Until this is not done, other steps cannot be performed. So this is the bottleneck. So that bottleneck step is the slowest step, and that determines the whole process. So this lecture 1 is finished. I'll start the next lecture. Wait, let me. Okay. Now, adsorption on active sites. At the beginning, for this lecture, I'll not consider the mass transfers, any mass transfer steps. Let us concentrate on the three steps, the middle steps. One is adsorption, next is chemical reaction, and third one is desorption. Let us concentrate on these three steps at the beginning. And we have to analyze these steps. Afterwards, we will go for the mass transfer. For a reaction to occur on a solid catalyst surface, chemisorption of the reactant molecules on the catalyst active sites is necessary. That is there. Without chemisorption, no reaction is possible. If A is a reactant molecule and S denotes an active site, so on the catalyst surface, there are definite centers, definite points. Those are highly active. They can accept the reactant molecules to get adsorbed on them, for the reaction to happen on them, and then desorption of the product. So if we denote S as the active site and A is the reactant molecule, then the first one, A will get attached on the site, on the point. Then the attachment of the reactant molecule on the active site can be easily depicted. Then say A dot S, this way we can express. A is adsorbed on S, so A dot S is the occupied site. S is occupied by A, so this A dot S will denote as the occupied site. A plus S is going to give us A dot S. So A is sitting on S, adsorption of A on S, and get adsorbed, chemisorbed. Now, this way we express the adsorbed site or occupied site. Total molar concentration of active sites, we represent it as CT, total number of active site per unit mass of catalyst per Avogadro number. So total number of active site by Avogadro number is giving you the total mole of active site per gram of catalyst. This is the active site concentration. So concentration, you know, we expressed in terms of mole per gram or mole per cc. Here, as it is a solid catalyst, so we expressed it in per gram. CT is the total number of active site by Avogadro number per unit mass of catalyst is mole per gram of catalyst. Total molar concentration of vacant site is CV. CV, V is vacant site. CV is the concentration of vacant site. Total number of vacant site per unit mass of catalyst per Avogadro number. Similar way, it is mole per gram of catalyst. Similarly, total molar concentration of occupied sites can be expressed similar way. Say C A dot S. A dot S is in the subscript. C A dot S is the total number of occupied site per unit mass of catalyst per Avogadro number, that will be mole of occupied site per gram of catalyst. So you see CT is the total molar concentration of active sites that was there at the beginning before adsorption. After adsorption of the reactant molecules on some of the active centers, then we'll get C adsorbed, that means concentration of adsorbed site, plus CV, that is the concentration of vacant site, which are till not adsorbed. So we can represent it CT is equal to CV plus concentration of occupied site. This way you can represent total active site concentration. Here pictorially I tried to show you, look, say this straight line is the surface of the solid catalyst, and these triangles are the sites, active sites. On this triangle, the molecule of A is adsorbed, and this one on this molecule B is adsorbed. This middle one is still vacant. So at the beginning, before adsorption, there were three vacant sites. All sites were the same. Then we can express the total site concentration as CT. After adsorption of some of the sites by the reactant molecules, then we have two different sites. One type is occupied site, another type is vacant site. So if two species A and B are adsorbed on the active sites, then it can be shown as A plus B plus 2S is equal to A dot S plus B dot S. For adsorption, we need two vacant sites, which are after adsorption, they have become occupied sites. So this is denoted as A dot S, this is B dot S, and this is S, only S. Where S is the vacant active site and A dot S and B dot S are occupied sites. Now, total concentration of sites is CT is equal to CV. CV is the vacant site concentration. Total concentration is we can divide it plus C A dot S plus C B dot S. This is called site balance. So we can equate the two sides. The total concentration of active sites is divided into vacant site concentration and occupied site concentration. So in the gas phase, if I is the species, Pi is the partial pressure of species I in the gas phase, atmosphere or whatever you express the pressure unit. Ci dot S, after the molecule get adsorbed on the vacant site S, CIS becomes the surface concentration of sites occupied by species I, gram mole per gram of catalyst. The similar way, A dot S like CIS. Now, let us study about the adsorption isotherm. Isotherm means single temperature, single temperature at a particular temperature, how adsorption occurs. If we consider adsorption of a non-reacting gas, here while we'll study about the adsorption isotherm, let us forget about the reaction. Concentrate only on the adsorption. Say we are taking the example of a non-reacting gas which does not react at all. It will just adsorb. So if it adsorbs, then how its adsorption behavior occurs? How we can see the adsorption behavior of that gas molecule with the temperature? And also at different pressure. If you increase the pressure, then we can expect the more amount of gas molecule will get adsorbed on the solid surface. More pressure means more number of gas molecules in a definite volume. if we consider if more number of gas molecules in a definite volume, then obviously the um, chance of getting adsorbed is more rather than lesser number of gas molecules in the same volume. That means lesser pressure. So if we consider adsorption of a non-reacting gas on the surface of a catalyst, the adsorption data are reported in the form of adsorption isotherm. Adsorption data means if we do the experiment, let us try that at a single temperature, if we increase the pressure, how much more adsorption we get. This way we can make a series of data at that single temperature, and we can plot the data to get a definite curve, pressure against concentration of adsorbed molecules. That will give us a curve at that single temperature. Now, if we increase the temperature or change, if you change the temperature, then adsorption data will be different because gas pressure is highly dependent on temperature. Then in another temperature, the isotherm nature or nature of the curve will be different. So this is called isotherm. So adsorption isotherm, the adsorption curve formed by the data of the amount of gas adsorbed. Amount of gas adsorbed means concentration of gas adsorbed. In fact, we express the amount in terms of concentration on a solid surface at different pressures but at single temperature. So steps in adsorption. Adsorption models are postulated to define the experimental data. We fit different models. Models means different equations which were postulated. This is the nature, or this is the characteristic of a curve, gas, whose nature fits in this equation, or a series of gases which follows this nature. So we can make a generalized model, a generalized equation under which the characteristics of gases fall. That is called the model. Adsorption models are postulated to define the experimental data. We have assumed an equation which will define the nature, adsorption nature of the gas. So, we have postulated an equation. Now, that equation should fit into the experimental data. Right hand side and left hand side should be equal. For that, we have to see whether for a particular gas that equation fits or not. Otherwise, if it does not fit, by putting the experimental data into that equation and solving the equation and see that right hand side and left hand side are equal, if we see that the model equation is not fitting with the experimental data, then we have to go for another equation. This way we have to do the trial and error, but it is generalized that some equations are highly fitted to most of the gases, and those are you can say highly populated this model equations. If the experimental data fit well into a proposed model, the model can be said to reasonably describe what is occurring physically in a real system. Okay. Now, two models are proposed for the adsorption. We have taken a gas, that is carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is a symmetrical molecule. See, one carbon, one oxygen, and C double bond O, it is a planar molecule, no distortion. Now, molecular or non-dissociative adsorption is that whole carbon monoxide molecule will get adsorbed on the vacant site. CO plus S giving us CO dot S. Here the carbon dioxide molecule adsorbed on the active site as a molecule. It does not break down. And dissociative adsorption is that where CO plus 2S, C dot S plus O dot S. That means CO molecule gets dissociated to give us one carbon atom and one oxygen atom. Here the carbon dioxide molecule is dissociated and carbon and oxygen atoms adsorb on two different active sites. So these are the two different types of adsorption usually occur. We have taken the simplest molecule. There may be different types of molecules obviously in the gas. So their adsorption may follow any one of these two. These are two very generalized models. Let us first take the molecular adsorption, that is non-dissociative adsorption. Molecular adsorption is CO plus S is CO dot S. The adsorption is considered as elementary step. Elementary step, you know, it is the single step. There is no branch, there is no side reaction, there is no like steps in the reaction. It is elementary step. Reaction occurs in one single step, and reaction occurs as in the stoichiometry shows. That is elementary step. Rate of attachment, that is forward step, is proportional to first CO molecule is attached on the active site. Rate of attachment is proportional to how the rate of attachment or attachment is dependent on different factors. What are those factors? Number of collisions of the molecules make per second. That is, number of collisions per second is proportional to the partial pressure of the carbon dioxide. Say, just visualize that we are having a solid surface and on the top of it carbon dioxide gas is there. If you increase the carbon dioxide pressure, then obviously the collision with the solid surface will be more. Collision of the molecules, carbon monoxide molecule with the solid surface will be much more. So number of collisions of the molecules make per second. More the number of collisions, more is the chance of getting adsorbed on the active sites. So obviously rate of attachment is dependent on the number of collisions of the molecules make per second, per unit time in fact. And in other turn, that number of molecules per second is proportional to the partial pressure of the carbon. It is not carbon dioxide, it is carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide gas. Now, concentration of the vacant site of the catalyst, it is rate of attachment is also dependent on the concentration of vacant site of the catalyst. More the number of vacant sites, more is the chance of getting attached to the active sites. So rate of attachment is proportional to the partial pressure of carbon monoxide and concentration of vacant site. So rate of attachment is equal to Ka, small ka is the adsorption rate constant into PCO into CV. Rate of attachment is this. Now, after attachment, obviously there is a chance of detachment also. Because continuously the molecules get impinged on the surface and they go out. So obviously after attachment, if it gets more energy, it will go out from the active site. So there is a rate of detachment also. Rate of detachment of the molecule is proportional to the concentration of the sites occupied by carbon monoxide. So occupied site concentration. Yes. Anybody is asking anything? Okay. I'm taking attendance, huh? And TA mark is dependent on this attendance also, some part. Rate of detachment is proportional to the concentration of occupied site. So rate of detachment is equal to K of minus A CO C COS. K of minus A is the desorption rate constant. So if we express the rate of adsorption, it is the overall rate which also includes the rate of attachment and rate of detachment together. So overall rate of adsorption is RAD is equal to Ka PCOCV minus K of minus A CCOS. Considering capital Ka is small ka by K of minus A, it is the adsorption equilibrium constant. This ratio is called adsorption equilibrium constant, where rate of forward, that means rate of attachment, rate constant of attachment by rate constant of detachment, this ratio is the equilibrium constant. RAD is equal to small ka. If you take out this small ka and put bracket PCOCV minus CCOS by capital Ka. If you take out this small ka, then this last part, it will become CCOS by CCOS into K of minus A by Ka, which is 1 by capital Ka. So it is coming in the denominator. Now at equilibrium, rate of attachment is equal to rate of detachment. After the equilibrium sets in, there is no net change in the adsorption. So rate of attachment is equal to rate of detachment. But there is always rate, there is always a rate. It is always some attachment is going on, some detachment is going on. Rate is there, but rates are equal. PCOCV, if we last one, then what will happen? Rate of attachment is Ka PCOCV and rate of detachment is K of minus A CCOCV. These are equal. If they are equal, this is the equation. Then CV is equal to CCOS by Ka PCO. Now, if we go by this site balance, what it says, CT is the total concentration of the active site is equal to CV vacant site concentration plus CCOS, that is active occupied site concentration occupied by carbon monoxide. CV is equal to CT minus CCOS. So in place of CV, if we put CT minus CCOS, it is giving this. And we have to take out CCOS because CCOS we do not know what is the concentration of occupied site. CCOS is equal to Ka, capital Ka PCO. From here we have got PCO into CT minus CCOS. Here CCOS is equal to Ka PCO CT by 1 plus Ka PCO. Now this is the relation between concentration of occupied sites with the partial pressures of gas, and is called Langmuir adsorption isotherm, after the name of the scientist Langmuir, who developed this reaction equation model. That is, now if we Langmuir isotherm, figure A, this one shows the Langmuir isotherm curve. CCOS against PCO, that is PCO is the partial pressure of carbon monoxide and CCOS is the adsorbed site concentration or occupied site concentration moles per gram of catalyst. Then if we follow the equation, we will get this type of curve. Here concentration of adsorbed site is the function of carbon monoxide partial pressure. CCOS is a function of PCO. Amount of carbon monoxide adsorbed is equal to function of carbon monoxide pressure. After linearizing that equation, this one, if you linearize this equation, obviously here you see you will get from this equation you will get this type of curve. Now you linearize that equation, you will get PCO by CCOS is equal to 1 by Ka Ct plus PCO by Ct. Y is equal to mx plus c. Here you will get a straight line if you plot PCO by CCOS against PCO with the slope 1 by Ct. Slope, this is mx, this is x, PCO is x, so 1 by Ct is m slope, and 1 by Ka Ct is the intercept. So from these this curve you will get the slope and also the Ka. Slope is 1 by Ct, so Ct you will get, that means total active site concentration you will get from the slope, and also the value of adsorption equilibrium constant. Plotting the equation we get a straight line. From this the adsorption equilibrium constant Ka and total active site concentration Ct can be determined. Now take the dissociative adsorption. Here again the rate of attachment is proportional to the partial pressure of the gas. More the number of gas molecules, more will be the attachment, and square of the vacant sites adjacent to each other. Why square? Because here as it is dissociative, we need two sites adjacent to each other, so that in one site C will get adsorbed and another site O will get adsorbed. So obviously the rate of attachment is proportional to the partial pressure of the gas and the square of the vacant sites adjacent to each other. As for dissociative adsorption, two adjacent vacant sites are necessary for adsorption of two atoms dissociated from a molecule. So then rate of attachment is equal to Ka is the attachment rate constant, PCO partial pressure of carbon monoxide, and vacant sites concentration square, because Cv into Cv, two Cvs are required. Rate of detachment is proportional to the two adjacent occupied sites. Rate of detachment is equal to K of minus A CCS into COS. Obviously, these are the occupied sites, so detachment is proportional to the occupied site concentration. There are two occupied sites, so CCS into COS. Total rate of adsorption is the rate of attachment minus rate of detachment, RAD. Similarly, if you take out Ka, you will get PCO Cv square minus CCS COS by capital Ka. Capital Ka is the forward adsorption rate constant by reverse desorption rate constant. So this is adsorption equilibrium constant. For dissociative adsorption, K of minus A will increase with increase in temperature. So capital Ka will decrease with temperature. Ka increases with increase in temperature. So obviously capital Ka is will behave just opposite, will decrease with increase in temperature. At equilibrium, when equilibrium is there, this one is equal to this one. So PCO Cv square is equal to CCS COS by capital Ka. If CCS is equal to COS, if we consider as number of carbon molecules formed is equal to the number of oxygen molecule formed, So we can consider the active site concentration of CCS is equal to active site concentration of that is COS. Uh, if we consider the same number of carbon as number of oxygen are adsorbed on the active sites, then PCO-CV square into Ka, it will become COS square. CCS into COS we have simplified to COS square. COS is giving us PCO Ka to the power half into CV. Now this also, if we this is also one type of adsorption equilibrium or rather adsorption isotherm. We are going towards that. For that we need the site balance. CT is equal to CV plus CCS plus COS. Here there are two occupied sites. So the occupied concentrations are considered, plus CV is the vacant site concentration, which is equal to the total site concentration, or CV is equal to CT minus 2 COS. As we have taken CCS is equal to COS, so it is 2 COS. Putting the value of CV in equation 4 is the previous one. Here, if we put the value of CV there, we are getting COS is equal to PCO Ka to the power half CT minus 2 COS. So solving, it is coming COS is equal to CT PCO to the power PCO Ka root plus 1 by 1 plus 2 PCO Ka whole root. Now this is also linearized to get this equation. 1 by COS is equal to 1 by CT PCO Ka root plus 2 by CT. Here similarly, if we plot PCO root over PCO by COS here, we are taking this PCO out from right hand side, and PCO to the power half in the x-axis, we get a straight line having slope 2 by CT, this is the slope, and 1 by CT K to the power half, this is the intercept. From this curve also we get the CT, that means total site concentration, and the value of the adsorption equilibrium constant. When more than one molecule is present, say A and B, then the adsorption of A in presence of B, B is not adsorbing. The equation can be written as this: CAS is equal to KAPACT by 1 plus KAPA plus KBPB, where Ka and Kb are the adsorption equilibrium constants of A and B. Pa and Pb are the partial pressures of A and B. CAS and CT are the concentrations of occupied sites of A and total sites respectively. All the time a uniform surface is assumed. Here we have assumed that on the catalyst surface all active sites are same. They have same nature, same properties. So uniform surface is assumed in deriving Langmuir isotherm. Langmuir isotherm we have read now. That means any active site has the same attraction for an impinging molecule as they does in for any other site. Isotherms different from Langmuir site are also derived. Except Langmuir isotherm, we have many other isotherm equations. I already said these are postulated, these are proposed equations, in which actually it is these equations are prepared by following the adsorption properties of different gases, and from there these generalized equations are formed. This is Langmuir isotherm. Except this Langmuir isotherm, other isotherms are also there, considering various assumptions including non-uniform surface, etc. Here we have considered uniform surface. Okay, so we have finished our class. Then we'll meet on the next week again. If you have any question, you can ask me. No question?
In one of the equations that you mentioned about like linearizing the term, we could find out Ka from the slope and or from the intercept, either way. But for that, we need to know the concentration of carbon monoxide on the catalyst surface, right?
Yes, actually all these are experimental data. From the experiment, experiment, you can come to know how much carbon monoxide has been adsorbed on the catalyst surface, any solid surface, not catalyst, any solid surface. Say,
How do
very simplified way I am saying, if you see the before adsorption, what is the concentration or what is the partial pressure of a molecule in a confined volume, and after adsorption, what is the partial pressure of that gas. From the difference, you may assume that amount of gas has been adsorbed on the surface. This way we can consider the adsorbed concentration. There are many other ways or experimental methods by which you can determine the surface concentration. Some precise equipments or instruments are there from which you can determine the concentration on the surface. Afterwards, not now, afterwards we'll learn some equations and also the methods which is called BET measurements. BET name is after the name of three scientists, Brunner, Emmett and Taylor. Brunner, Emmett and Taylor. They are three scientists who invented the method by which we can determine the surface concentration, the structure or the surface area of a catalyst, all those things by adsorption method only, by following the BET adsorption isotherm. There Langmuir is also used because Langmuir isotherm thinks that there is a monolayer adsorption. That means one monomolecular layer, one molecule at a time get adsorbed on the surface. Then it will be a monomolecular layer, but BET isotherm considers multi-layer adsorption. There are many ways by which you can determine the surface concentration. Okay, instruments are there in the laboratory. We do. So, any other question? I have to leave because now next class will be started. Professor Basu is waiting probably. Okay. So bye for today.